You're probably scrolling through a dozen UPS listings, wondering if any of them actually solve the little nightmare of a sudden power cut without breaking the bank. You don't want to throw $300 plus at something that will sit half-used in a closet, but you also can't afford to lose a half-finished project or, worse, damage expensive gear because the power went out at the wrong moment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's dig into whether the Eaton 5PX G2 1950VA 1950W line interactive UPS is the right middle ground for a home office or a small business rack. First, a quick reality check on the problem it's trying to solve. A typical office or creator's setup includes a desktop PC, maybe a couple of monitors, a router, and a few external drives. When the grid hiccups, whether it's a brownout that makes the PC lag, a surge that fries a USB hub, or a full blackout that shuts everything down, you need a buffer. The buffer has to be clean enough not to introduce noise that could corrupt files, and it has to last long enough for you to hit save and shut down gracefully. That's where a line interactive UPS like the Eaton 5PX G2 comes into play. It sits between the wall and your devices, smoothing out voltage fluctuations in real time and providing battery power when the wall goes dark. The 5PX G2 is rated at 1950VA and 1950W, which translates to enough juice for a typical workstation plus a couple of peripherals. What makes it feel a little more premium than a generic surge strip is the line interactive topology. Instead of just switching to battery when the voltage drops, it actively regulates the incoming power. In practice, that means if your neighborhood experiences a dip that would normally cause a PC to freeze, the UPS keeps the voltage steady, so you won't notice a glitch at all. For anyone who does real-time work, audio mixing, live streaming, or running a small server, that steadiness can be the difference between a flawless session and a corrupted file. One of the standout practical features is the unity power factor. Most consumer-grade UPS units list a higher VA rating than they can actually deliver in watts, which can be misleading when you try to size your load. Eaton's approach guarantees that the wattage you see is truly usable. In everyday terms, you can plug a 600-watt desktop, a 150-watt monitor, a 30-watt router, and still have headroom for an external SSD enclosure without tripping the UPS's limits. That kind of transparency is rare in the lower-priced segment and helps you avoid the embarrassment of an overload alarm in the middle of a deadline. Energy efficiency isn't just a buzzword here either. The unit carries the Energy Star 2.0 certification, meaning its internal circuitry draws less power when idle and the battery charger operates more intelligently. Over the course of a year, that can shave a few dollars off your electric bill. Hardly a headline feature, but a nice quiet win for anyone watching their overhead. Now, let's talk about the practical side of the outlet layout. The front panel sports 6 NEMA 520R receptacles, all of them supporting the 20 amp rating, plus a dedicated L520R outlet for a higher draw device like a small UPS in UPS configuration or a high-performance NAS. The layout lets you keep the power cord tidy, which is a small but real benefit when you're trying to keep a rack or a desk clean. The 2U depth means you can slide it into a standard 19-inch rack without sacrificing a whole shelf, yet you can also stand it on a desk if you prefer a tower look. That flexibility is handy if you start in a home office and later migrate the unit to a server rack as the business grows. One of the optional upgrades that often catches people off guard is the Cybersecure network card. It adds remote monitoring and management through Eaton's Intelligent Power Manager software. In a small office, that means you can set up email alerts for battery health, schedule automatic shutdowns, or even trigger a graceful power-off of a NAS when the battery reaches a low threshold. If you're the kind of person who likes to be able to check the UPS status from a phone while you're at a coffee shop, this is a genuine value add. On the flip side, the network card is an extra cost and an extra piece of firmware to keep updated, which might be overkill for a single PC home setup. What about the downsides? The first practical limitation you'll hit is runtime on the base battery. With a full load of around 1,500 watts, the unit gives you roughly 6 to 8 minutes of backup, just enough to save open files and shut down cleanly, but not enough to keep a server humming for an hour. That's where Eaton's optional external battery modules become relevant.